Well, hi everybody. It's Sally Rutledge-Ott with Nonprofit Maintenance, OTSI. I had to think about my own my own channel. I was supposed to have a guest this morning, but he isn't feeling well. So I thought, you know what? I'm just going to talk to you for a little while about nonprofits in general. Without getting political, our nonprofits are scared. I think we all know that. It has nothing to do with politics when I'm talking right now because there's still something on the books called the Johnson Amendment. The Johnson Amendment is pretty clear when it talks about, it's an IRS tax code, by the way. Pretty clear when it talks about nonprofits not being political for any reason whatsoever. That includes churches, by the way. So every time you hear a pastor or a reverend talking about politics from the pulpit, they're violating the IRS tax code Johnson Amendment. It's been around for a very long time. I didn't write the darn thing. It's where it is. And really, is that why you go to church? To be preached to about politics? No. Mm. Okay, but our nonprofits are in serious trouble when it comes to grants, additional funding, and to me, that is the dumbest thing possible for the government to do. Why are you hurting our nonprofits? Why are you hurting the nonprofit industry that 98% of them just want to add substance to the communities in which they serve? Many of them are 100% volunteers. Some have executive directors, which is great. It means they are moving forward. But now they're running around trying to find additional funding, doing additional events, trying to find local grants because there are a lot of local grants. And that's the one thing I want to talk to you about. We need in this industry, in this nonprofit industry, more people that understand how to write a grant. Now, you all heard, I hope, Karen Nall from the Grundy County United Way do a recording with me talking about grants, finding them, writing them. We need more people to get into that field of actually writing those grants and being successful. And some are small, 500, $1,000, but that could feed a lot of people. That could feed a lot of animals in shelters. That could help a lot. So, what I'm asking you to do is to look into your own community. Don't send it all to the big guys. Look at your own community. Yes, we still need the American Heart Association, the American Diabetes Association. We need all of those big organizations, but we also need the small ones, probably more than ever, don't you think? I really think we do. And the small organizations hit the ground running, boots on the ground, all those cliches, sayings, which I seem to know a lot of. We need to get more into those small organizations. So, how do you help? You're like, well, Sally, I haven't got a lot of extra money to spend on that. Okay, I understand that. How about volunteering? How about giving a couple hours a month? A couple hours a month. And maybe it's at your local food pantry where you're helping them stock shelves or run their food day where they're actually distributing that different kind of food products and paper products and toiletry products. How about that? How about helping a pet shelter a couple days a month, play with the dogs and cats, help clean the cages, that sort of thing. Just a couple hours a month. Let me tell you the feeling that you're going to get deep in your soul of helping a nonprofit. Well, I almost can't describe it. I was brought up on volunteering. A lot of you people were too. I'm at that age group, over 60, and we grew up volunteering, right? I mean, start thinking about that. We grew up volunteering. My parents were very, very involved in Illinois when we were young. United Way, of course, because I completely love United Ways. I love what they do. They're a funding organization for other nonprofits. They raise their own funds. They do some great things out there. Don't overlook your United Ways, okay? And in Ottawa, Illinois, the Labor of Love is one of my very favorite fundraisers that they do. And it's not just a fundraiser, it's a day of service or a weekend of service. It's great fun to be involved with that. And it'll tug at your heartstrings a little bit too. But that's okay. I think we need to have our heartstrings tug a little bit more when it comes to people that are in need and not just walk by, not just forget about. Don't shutter them out because you need that in your soul. Isn't that what we're supposed to be doing? I don't know. That's biblical. Now, what if you volunteer for your church? That's volunteering. You know, when we were growing up, we used to do a lot of volunteering at the church. My parents were very involved, from deacons to trustees to stewardship and mission. We did a lot of dinners, food dinners, delivering of items to people that were shut-ins. There's something that'll get you, and if that doesn't get you, I don't know what will. We also did a lot of the American Red Cross growing up. My father was really big into the American Red Cross when we were growing up and used to bring in the Bozo Circus into Ottawa. Anybody from Ottawa remember that? Um, we had Ned, the head guy, and Cookie, the clown, who used to come down and drink a lot, by the way, at Little Oscars back in the day. And I do believe that's how my Uncle Jack Cassidy met him. And we had such a good time doing that. I remember I had to dress up as a clown and sell popcorn. That was one year that I'll probably never forget because clowns. So get involved. But we have really good memories of all of that. And then when our son was growing up, we were still very involved. And he and I would help our minister at a local nursing home do communion. And so he got to understand about nursing homes and the people that were there. And because back then they weren't assisted living, they were all nursing homes. And he understood what it was like to be quiet during a service, but it was a really important thing to do. Then we delivered, Toys for Tots, another amazing thing that happened in Ottawa for years. And growing up, my mother was one of the initial people that were involved with Toys for Tots in the Ottawa, Illinois area. And there were many Christmases, my sister and I still talk about it, where our Christmas was delayed because we were busy wrapping gifts and delivering them so other children could have as good a Christmas as we were able to have. And that has stuck with me. Meals on Wheels. Oh, Meals on Wheels. It My mother was very involved with Meals on Wheels, and I think it came out of her Beta Sigma Phi sorority. It was the sorority girls that got really involved with this. And my mother took lead on it for many years. And I remember in high school delivering meals to with my mom during the Meals on Wheels program. And they were little, I remember, aluminum trays. They looked like an old TV dinner, like Swanson used to make those old TV dinners. But it was really a nice, and we would deliver 3 meals to this woman. Now, she wanted to do it daily, and my mother finally figured out why. Her name was Harriet. She was an older woman. I mean, I remember her being an older woman, and I was in high school, so this is the 70s, rock on 70s. We had the most fun, and no pictures, no social media. And I can remember walking in with my mom, and my mom said, "Well, hi, Harriet. This is my daughter, Sally, and we're here to deliver your meals for the day." And my mother said, "Harriet, you look thin. Are you eating? Or are you giving your dog your meals?" So what my mother figured out was that Harriet was eating 1 meal a day and giving her dog the other 2 meals. She didn't have enough money to buy dog food. Her dog was her friend, her confidant, her kept her safe, right? This was a big dog. I don't even remember what kind of dog it was, but it was a big dog. And this gal loved that animal so much she was willing to not eat her own food. So my mother, we got out in the car, and I was already like choked up over this. And my mother said, "Come on, we have to go to the A&P." Way back when. My mother bought this huge bag of dog food, took two of us to get it to the car with her own money. We took it over to Harriet. And my mother also took three additional meals. Because what I didn't realize is that my mother was actually cooking for Harriet on her own. So it's like we adopted her, which, my mother was into adoption, right? I'm adopted, everything's good. And my mother said, "Harriet, the dog eats this food. You eat this food. I want to see you putting on some weight, Harriet." And we got in the car, and I cried all the way home. My mother was strong, and it's okay, Sally. And some people just need that additional help. And we are no better than they are. We need to do this. This is something that I feel in my soul we need to do. My mother's parents were farmers, so she grew up with good solid roots. And my mother did this for many years until Harriet died. And my mother went to the funeral. There were four people at the funeral, and my mother was one of them. Man, that affected me in a whole different light than most people even realize. Being involved with a nonprofit means some sacrifice for you, small. But isn't it time we start to do some of the sacrificing again? And so some of you are watching going, "Well, Sally, I already volunteer." Well, good for you. How about getting 5 or 6 of your closest friends or relatives to do it with you? Don't do this solo. Don't do it on your own. It can be so much fun, right? Getting involved and helping take care of other people who are less fortunate than you, or getting they're in trouble of some kind and just need that extra push to be whole again. Come on. How hard is this? Now, when I'm talking about nonprofits, I'm also talking about the messes that they can create from the very onset. Now, I'm not the only one out there that helps nonprofits get started or writes legal policies for them or does their bylaws for them. Or there's others. In fact, I have colleagues that do it, and they're brilliant, and I love them, and I do send them work. Depends on the area in which it is or what kind of nonprofit they're going to be. Some of my colleagues are better at certain ones than I am, and that's not competition to me. That is helping that nonprofit get started the right way, right? I have plenty of work. I stay busy every single day. But the nonprofits that are trying to do this on their own, there's a couple of things I want to talk to you about. And maybe I'm all over the place today, but this wasn't prepared because I had somebody scheduled and he got sick. So I understand that. I hope he feels better. We'll get him on soon. Starting a nonprofit, there are certain things that you cannot circumvent. So before you ever register online, hopefully, with your Secretary of State, because they're the ones that deem you a nonprofit or not a nonprofit, not the IRS, you have to get a board. Now, the law states everywhere in the continental United States, you must legally have 3 people on your board to be a board to start a nonprofit. Now, is 3 a good number? Well, it'll get you started. And maybe that's just what you need to get started. But I don't want you to forget about 3 is difficult because with 3 people, quorum is going to be very difficult. And with every vote, Robert's Rules of Order, I have the book, you have the book. If not, get the book. You need more than 3 people. In my perfect world of nonprofits, my ideal number for a board of directors is between 8 and 12. Anything over 12, oh God, it's really difficult to get anybody to decide. Listen, you can't take 12 people, even friends, and try to figure out what kind of pizza to have. And you're going to put more than 12 people on a board of directors for a nonprofit and expect something to get done. It's not going to happen. I'm going to tell you right now. It's going to be very difficult. You're going to be pushing the rope the whole time trying to get people to. And then if somebody says, well, you did that vote without me, and you're saying, well, you haven't responded to anything in 2 months, well, I'm still on the board. Okay, you're going to have issues. All right, now 3 to get started. So if you're going to do this on your own, good luck, because in today's climate of beginning a nonprofit, if you don't do it correct, you're not going to get it. Just it's the way it is now. Is that good, bad, or indifferent? I don't know, but I'm starting to see some things, and I don't like it. So, excuse me. I think my colleagues would remain the same. Anybody else have allergies? No. Are your allergies getting worse? Because holy hell, my excuse me, mine are. Okay, so 3 people to get started. Now you can either hire a facilitator like me or one of my colleagues or somebody else that you know that does this. Make sure they know what they're doing, please. And don't do it online with some company that doesn't understand your nonprofit, gives you, blanket nonprofit bylaws that has corporate wording in it or stockholders or shareholders. That's not what you need. You need nonprofit bylaws. They're different. They're proprietarily set up for your nonprofit itself. They're not all the same. They have to be a little bit different because in there, in the bylaws, which is a legal document, who, what, why, when, where, how. That's what's going to be in there. No policy, no names, none of that. That's what bylaws are. Governing documents that govern your nonprofit because no one owns a nonprofit. You manage it. That's not my terminology. That's this terminology. People are like, are you just changing terminology? No. I'm just telling you what it is, what the compliance is, what the regulations are. And it's woefully difficult to follow them right now. That's why I have colleagues who are smarter than I am. So you're starting that with a facilitator or not. Now, let's talk about not having a facilitator, okay? Because a lot of people do. All right. My favorite is when you've got 3 board members and 2 of them, well, I've been on a board of directors before for a nonprofit. I know exactly what to do. Good. Get to it. Bylaws aren't easy to write. The board must approve on it, so those 3 people must actually vote to approve those bylaws. Why? Because those bylaws govern your organization. Oh, and by law, you can only update them 1 time per year. Not my regulation. They go to the Attorney General in your state if the Attorney General is involved with regulating the nonprofits. Now, many states aren't. Illinois is, Kentucky is, there's several others that are. Not all of them are. But you have to wait to do anything until you're registered with the Attorney General as well. But so you get your bylaws all together. Hopefully you know what you're doing because you're stuck with them for a year once you send them on. Then you need to decide a budget. Now, how many of you nonprofits have ever started your nonprofit with a budget? Don't you think you need a budget, even preliminarily? Now, I'm going to be recording a gal that owns and runs a company called The Executive Geek. She's a bookkeeper. She's a brilliant gal. Her name is Heather. Be watching for this. She's going to be talking about nonprofit internal controls and things that have to be done. I've seen her, not only her website, she went through the nonprofit academy at Indiana Wesleyan University. She got credentialed, NFPC, which is not-for-profit certified. I was one of the teachers involved with Indiana Wesleyan University, nonprofit management, and she is delightful. Very good at what she does. You're going to be reading about that, and I want you to watch that video when I get that done. which is like in a couple hours. So you're going to do a budget, even preliminarily. You have to understand where your money is coming from and where your money is going out. I don't know how you run a board without, or a nonprofit without a budget. And you know, a budget isn't steadfast one time a year. A budget can be opened. It's you reopen it. The board votes to reopen the budget. It's called variable budgeting. You open it. You make the adjustments that you need. You vote to close it. Now that's the new budget. And you do it over and over if you need to, because things change. Maybe you end up with a grant. Great. Well, now you have to know what to do with it, right? Who's going to administer it and who's going to manage it? And where's the money coming from? Where's the money going to go out? Is there any administrative cost that's going to go into this? You need to put that all into the budget. So during the year, if a grant comes in, I don't care if it's $100, you need to reopen that budget and it's gotta be in there. And that's why I like QuickBooks for nonprofits. I run QuickBooks as a business, but I like it for nonprofits too, because you can put the budget in there and you can have everything based off that budget within QuickBooks. And I'm hoping Heather gets into some of that. Maybe that's the internal control, because I'm no accountant. I'm no bookkeeper. I surround myself with people who are smarter than me, and Heather's one of those gals. So you do that. Okay, now we have to get all the paperwork done. You have to do the articles of incorporation within your state. Some allow you to do it online. Thank you. There might be an expedited fee, but you know what? It's worth it to get it done. And most of them will approve you within a 24 to 72 hour window. Most, the good ones, because there's some that aren't run real well. Most are. And then you have to see, well, okay, our state requires attorney general registration. Okay, for the attorney general registration, there's always additional paperwork that has to go, letters of intent, board of directors listing. They want to know name, home address, personal phone. Sometimes they ask for personal emails. They will ask for banking information, but you know, you can't do anything until they register you. Nor can you collect a penny in donations. Penny. Now, I have a little problem with that. So, attention, attorney generals. Why is it taking 3 to 6 months to approve a nonprofit registration when they're sitting there idle? They can't do anything. Why? Why is it not online? Why do you have to send in USB ports or CD-ROMs that you know darn well you're not going to look at? And it sits. Why? Why are you doing that? How is that helpful? Most nonprofits are doing this, waiting, waiting, waiting. And it doesn't matter how many times I contact the attorney general, they're going to do it at their own pace. Or we're going to mail a letter. Okay, you're going to mail a letter with the U.S. Postal Service being the nightmare that it is right now. And maybe you'll get it and maybe you won't. Come on, automate this thing. Go online. Let it all be done online with a letter. Let it go through that way. Have it as a separate portal that they have to get into with a password and a username and all that other garbage that we have to do on everything else. Come on. And I've talked to several attorney generals and they're like, well, that's the way it is. Okay, great. That doesn't help anybody, by the way. So, okay, you finally get your registration letter back from the attorney general. If that's part of what you have to do, you're ready to go. You can now start collecting donations, and hopefully during that wait period, when you finally get registered, you know what you've been doing? Planning your marketing campaigns, scheduling events, getting people on board for volunteerism. Not collecting any money yet, but you can do all those things. And when it finally comes through, and I mean the day that it comes through, you're rolling out those programs because you can't wait any longer. So you're rolling out all those programs. Now, what legal policies do you have in place? Whistleblower? It's required. Conflict of interest? It's required. Confidentiality? Required. And Sarbanes-Oxley brought forth document retention policies for nonprofits, fiduciary transparency, and whistleblower statements. Enron did a lot of world of harm, but this came out of it for nonprofits as well. Now, the banking industry has to deal with a whole bunch more, but nonprofits have to have those components out of Sarbanes-Oxley, or SOX, as they call it, 2003. So you're ready to go, except you have no legal policies or procedures. Now, I hold US copyrights and legal policies and procedures for nonprofits. I mean, antitrust is a thing for nonprofits. You can't lobby. You can't have member expulsion, which we're going to talk about when I get into chambers of commerce and how they run, which is a 501c6 member organization. So you have to have some legal policies and procedures in place that everybody's going to follow and sign. Sexual harassment in the state of Illinois, that policy. Not only do all businesses have to train on it every year to their employees, but so do nonprofits. You have that? Do you have one of those in place? If you work with me, you do. If you don't work with me, you probably don't. And don't let somebody sitting on your board say, well, I've never needed that before. We've never gotten caught before. Oh, that's one of my favorites. We've never gotten caught before. That doesn't mean you're not gonna. And what can happen if you do? You can lose your nonprofit. Your charter can be pulled. Now, okay, so you've got this stuff all done. You've got donations that are starting to come in. You decide we want to be federally recognized because not all nonprofits are required to go through federal recognition, or what it's called the 1023-EZ. And it's done online. Thank you, IRS, through pay.gov. Thank you. Set it up. You do all the paperwork. Everything has got to be in order. There's a lot of questions that you have to go through. But you know what? It really gives you a good initiative to start seeing, okay, I'm responsible for all of this. I have to get this all done. So if you're going to be doing it, the online cost is $275 if you do it yourself. You'll have to know what an NTEE code is, which you could probably figure out. But it's all done online. And what that means is that you'll be federally recognized as a nonprofit. Okay? What's that mean? Why do you need that? If you're a small local organization and you're going to just go for the small state grants or small local grants, you probably don't need to get into that expense yet. But the larger you get, or the grants that you're going to go after from large businesses or federal grants, hopefully stay, they're going to require you to have that IRS designation. And that is taking about 2 to 4 months right now. You can still do business. You just have to wait for that to come in. And that's a letter you don't want to lose. Don't ever, ever, ever lose your state or federal documents. It should be right in your legal policy manual anyway. You can see it down here. I've got all these little binders. Binders are good when it comes to all your documentation. In fact, that's kind of messy right there. Looks like it's going to fall over. Okay, so you've got that done. You're going to host your events. You're going to get people involved. Where are the donations going to go? Have you figured that out? Are they just going to you? Okay, that's fine. If you're a pet shelter, donations go to you, but somebody like United Way, they have to have more paperwork, more meetings, more planning done because they're a funder of other local nonprofits who are in their territory. And we had my very first video on YouTube was with United Way, with 3 brilliant United Way leaders. And if you haven't watched it, go back and watch it. I want you to hear what a United Way actually does. So you're ready to go. You've got all your stuff done. You've got some legal policies, everybody signed them. Everything is in place. You're ready to go. Then go. Get going. Now, social media marketing is still a thing, and there's so many different levels. In fact, a very good friend of mine, Brian Basilico, B2B Interactive Marketing, is going to be doing a recording with me in May. and he's written several books. It's not about bacon, it's about you. Anything that has to do with bacon is Brian. And they're great books. And he's a social media genius when it comes to all this. I mean, he does public speaking all over the country on it. And we're going to break down what nonprofits can do with social media. Because one of my policies that I have is a social media policy. Because what do you need it? Yeah, you need it. And you get going with all of this. Now, remember a few things. Always positive all the time. Nobody wants to hear you complain. Nobody wants to see a nonprofit. Well, I can't believe nobody came to our event. Me, shame on you. What? Stop. It's a choice that people make. You have to give them the marketing tug. Why do you want to be here? Who else is going to be here? How can you get involved? Who are you benefiting? I mean, you have to make the marketing interpersonal with people because there's so much of it. How are you going to stand out? You need somebody to run your social media if you don't know how to do it. And of course, they sign the policies, they do everything that the rest of the board does because they're going to be in charge of that. Now, interns are a great way to learn, right? If you're a larger nonprofit and you have a local junior college or even a 4-year institutional college, sometimes getting an intern in the summer, paid or unpaid, that's up to you, to get them to help you get this started because we're talking the younger generation than me. I mean, I can't play, Mario without our son getting us to the next level. Okay? All right. It's a thing. I keep trying. My thumb's going numb. It's terrible. And they have a better understanding of how social media works. Which ones do you need to be on? Which ones are safe enough for you to be on? Are you monitoring? Are you allowing comments? I don't like the allow comment thing. Are you going to be posting fun, professional pictures? Oh, you have children? Do you have that document signed by the parents that you can post their kids online? Because our son and daughter-in-law, they don't want pictures of our grandchildren online. I don't blame them. We don't do that. So you have to make sure that you have that document as well. Now, if you get a lawyer on your board that can review all of this, yay. Do you have a lawyer, a local lawyer that, because a lot of lawyers do some pro bono work. Most of the lawyers that I respect do pro bono work. And maybe their pro bono piece for you is just to review some documents that you have. Let a second set of very trained eyes look at them. I mean, I work with lawyers all the time when it comes to legal policies. I really enjoy their input. And I will change some things. If they're copyrighted, I can't immediately change, but I can addendum. And I put addendums on specific things as the rules and laws have changed over the years. So you're ready to go. You're getting your social media policies all together. You have a plan. You have a board. Everybody's together. Everybody signed all the documents. Uh-oh, trouble, 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 trouble. Because at some point you're going to go, oh, trouble, trouble, trouble. Be prepared for it. It's not personal to you. It is personal to your nonprofit. But reach out and get the right help when that happens. And this is what I'm not seeing. By the time a nonprofit ends up at my desk that's in trouble, they're already in big trouble. Now, I've had to disband them. I've had to dissolve nonprofits more in 2024 than I've done in 40 years of doing this. Because they let things go. They weren't prepared. They kept firing and hiring and firing and hiring and never training anybody that comes in. Just good luck. Here you go. Here's your office. I'll never understand that piece either. But be prepared for a little bit of trouble. Work it out. What's your SWOT analysis, right? What are some things that could go wrong? Well, serving alcohol at your event without dram shop insurance, that's a biggie. I was just telling an organization yesterday, work with your local taverns, liquor stores, alcohol distributors to be a part of your event. They understand all of that so much better than you do, right? Wine tastings are fun. Let a distributor deal with it. Sell tickets for it. Let them deal with the rest of it. Stay out of something you have no idea what you're doing. I mean, one of the funnest, easy, nonprofit events that I was ever part of, and I've been part of a lot of them in my life, was what they called the Diaper Dash. And we were at a park, a big park in the middle of town, and it was for the food pantry who needed diapers, because that's part of what this food pantry did. Was they also gave diapers, because diapers are expensive. I mean, if you want to do cloth, good for you. That's a lot of work. But if you're doing the disposable diaper, which I still think we need a better disposable diaper than that's on the market, one that'll actually, I don't know, break down into the earth, maybe hemp diapers. Is that a thing? Could that be a thing? I don't know. And what it was the first year I just participated because they had a line. It was like a drive-through diaper throw. Oh, imagine how fun this was. And a friend of mine was one of the people ready to catch the diapers. And she was hysterical. She wore a face mask, a catcher's face mask, and a catcher's bodyguard, had a hat backwards, and she was ready to catch any diapers thrown at her. And man, I threw them at her from the car as hard as I could throw out the window. And she caught them, and we laughed. And I did it 4 times. I had 4 different sets of diapers because I was so sure. We had a side bet that I was going to take her down with one of those packs. So she was ready. I mean, she was ready. And on the last pack, I nailed her, and down she went. And we laughed. We're still laughing over that. So the next year I got involved, and I was going to catch, right? I played softball for 35 years. I'm pretty good. I played pickleball. I can catch a pack of diapers. Oh my gosh, it's harder than it seems. Do you know that each year they did that? And I don't think they do it anymore. And I'd like to know why you're not doing that anymore, food pantries. The last year that they did it, they had 484 bags or boxes of diapers. That's incredible. And it was so much fun. People were lined up. The police got involved. They were having a blast because, you had to have crowd control or traffic control. The local police department got involved. They were having a blast doing it as well. The local radio station was there, and they were doing a play-by-play of, oh, and she got nailed and that. And we had so much fun. Your events can be fun. In fact, if they're not fun, why the hell are you doing them? I mean, people need to be entertained, right? Obviously, right? They're on their phones all day, blah, 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 blah. Social media, garbage, 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 garbage. Oh, wait, there's a nonprofit doing something fun, right? Standing out amongst all the garbage that's out there. It's got to be fun. You want me to get involved with something? You better make it fun, because we have enough stress and seriousness in our lives. We have to get fun again when we do this. So a diaper dash, I really like it. You can call it something different. I don't know, poop our us, or I don't know, come up with something fun. But that's one of the huge costs for our young mothers, or that, you know, had a baby, really excited about the baby, and something could go wrong in their lives, and all of a sudden they need that additional help, and maybe they're embarrassed to do it. There's enough people out there that want to help, but we always need more. And as a parent now, are you raising your children to volunteer? Are you emulating what you want them to do? Are you getting them involved? Right? Are you teaching them service to the community in which they reside? It's really not hard. And most of the time, it costs you $0 to get involved. Because volunteers are as important as donations. Because you can collect donations after donation. Who's going to help you do everything else? Now, we all know that chambers of commerce still love golf outings. Anybody else tired of golf outings? What about several local nonprofits, I don't know, partnering together and doing one large golf outing? Maybe it's over 2 days. Instead of each trying to do it on your own and getting the same 30 to 50 people, because you need 72 to even be successful for 18 holes. What if a couple nonprofits pool together their resources, which is not just money, people? And what if you did it together? Then the sponsor only gets hit one time. The golfer gets hit one time instead of the same old. And I can hear you right now. I can hear the chamber people. Well, ours is the most successful golf outing that there is. Yeah, good for you. I'm talking about the small 501c3 nonprofit organizations that really need to learn how to pool their resources and time with other small nonprofits. And I mean, you can do non-compete nonprofits. Having 2 food banks there, maybe not, but having a food bank and a pet shelter and whatever, pooling together, right? You split the resource when it comes to people, time, energy, initial startup costs, and you pull it together, and at the end, has to be even. You can each sign a partner agreement with each other and hold each other to the fire on it in a very friendly way, please. You split the proceeds. I like it. I like it a lot. I would much prefer to be involved with that as a golfer than I would going to one same people, same thing every year. Now, I recently got into the, what are we calling this? I sell this stuff. And I did it for a reason. Did I need additional work? No. But I also understand what nonprofits can purchase and what they should purchase, how to purchase it, how to give it. A little different. Nonprofits still need promotional tchotchkes. If you're not marketing yourself, nobody else is going to market for you either. So let's get involved with that a little bit. So you get this all set up, you're all ready to go, trouble hits the fan. Maybe you get a letter from the state that's not good. Maybe you are called for an audit, and we all know that can happen. And it can happen from a couple different ways. Secretary of State, Attorney General, Department of Revenue, IRS. You need a good accountant. I can tell you nothing else as helpful to you as making sure that you have a good accountant or a good bookkeeper. Because if you don't have those things and all of a sudden something happens like this and it's financially motivated, what are you going to do? Talk to a lawyer? Well, a lawyer, unless they're a tax lawyer, that's really not their frame of business. But it is for an accountant. And I mean a CPA or a bookkeeper that can dive into it at the beginning and then say, okay, now we need to get to a CPA, because they'll know when it gets to that time. Maybe it's something that they can do to get you started, to get you going, to figure out what it is, to make the appropriate phone calls, which will save you a lot of time and energy and probably money. And sometimes you have to reach back out to that CPA. So A CPA that understands nonprofit accounting principles is worth their weight in gold for a nonprofit. Find that person, find that firm, talk to them, go meet with them, show them that you've got everything in order, and hire them. Now, some do the hiring process with an accountant, and they use it for the whole time, right? They want them to do everything, filing of the state and federal documentation. Okay, good. That's great. Looking at the budget, maybe during a small internal review at the end of the year, and then come and talking to your board about that. What that review looks like. Most of the smaller firms that do that, they don't do the big, full, $15,000 audit that may be required. Think about that. But they'll have a suggestion as to who to use. Usually the larger cities around the smaller communities will have that kind of CPA firm. Now, do they have to be at your board meetings? No. Your CPA doesn't have to be at your board meeting. Your bookkeeper shouldn't be at your board meetings. If they have a report they want to give, maybe they'll want to be there, or they're going to send it to either the chair or president of the board of directors, and either the executive director or the president and CEO. And by the way, use cash in QuickBooks, not accrual. Your board doesn't understand accrual. Just trust me on that. So trouble can come in a lot of different ways. You need to be prepared. You either have a legal policy that already explains what to do in case of this. Your board's already aware of what to do because they've been trained appropriately, because, oh yeah, board orientation and board training is extremely important to get going in the right way. And then having those people, those professionals lined up in case of a problem. So there's a lot that you could be doing at the very onset before you do anything or spend anything. Lining up the right people, lining up the right facilitators, making sure your board's got all the everything dotted and crossed appropriately until the day you hit the ground running. Now, what happens if you use an online business to set up your nonprofit? Well, I can tell you what's going to happen. You're going to end up calling me, because they're going to give you a corporate set of bylaws. It's not going to be proprietary to your nonprofit. They won't file any paperwork with the Attorney General in your state if it's required. They have a side note: you may be required to. Well, okay, why aren't they doing it? Because they don't know how, and it's a blanket for everybody in the United States, and every state is different. Every single state is different. And then they get all of that, and they start all of that, but you have no legal policy manual, you have no board development, no board training, you have no legal policies in place at all that can keep you out of trouble and keep you in compliance. So your board starts off in the deficit. I don't like it. Don't start your board off with a deficit. Don't start that nonprofit off already in the hole of not understanding what you have to do, because it's not that hard to find somebody like me or one of my brilliant colleagues to help you. And with the laws and regulations that change all the time, it's constant, blah, 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 blah. I mean, my colleagues and I are shifting emails back and forth. Did you know this? Is this coming up soon? What's going on with this? Hey, I mean, we're doing it because I know which one of them is better at certain things than I am. And they're the ones that are doing the review on it and then giving me their opinion. Oh, I love that. I'm not in competition with my colleagues. We're not in competition. We work together because it makes sense to us to do that, because that's what you should be doing. Working with people in cooperative tandem. It's not that hard to do. You have yearly filings you're going to have to do at the state in which you're in, especially when it comes to the Secretary of State. If the Attorney General is involved in that nonprofit registration, they have yearly paperwork, whether they require your 990s, or in Illinois, for instance, it's the Illinois AG 990, which is their own document. And there's usually a small charge. It's not a lot, but it's usually a small charge to send that in. And hopefully it's online. Not all of them are. Come on, Attorney Generals. So you have to know when. You need a good financial policy. And I work with an accountant to have a good financial policy. Understanding when it's got to be done and what month. It depends on when you become a nonprofit, when all this is due. But it's due. Now, can you miss those? No. No. You're going to get your charter revoked, put on revocation, involuntarily pulled. Now, to get it back isn't going to be easy, and it's not going to be quick. And the only one that should be talking to the IRS at that point is your accountant, because they know what to do and how to do it and who to contact and whatever. There's a form they have to fill out. I think it's a 9528, or I think those numbers are in there. I think I've got them mixed up because I'm not an accountant, so I don't have to do this form. But they have to actually fax that over to the IRS for permission to talk about that nonprofit. The IRS is very closed when it comes to that. Well, as they should be, right? Because it's proprietary. It's nobody's business what you're doing until those 990s hit. Now, did you know your 990s are public? They are. I can look up about anybody's 990s, find out how they've done. And don't think I don't do it to somebody that I'm helping that's been in business for a while. I want to see where they are. I want to see where they land. I'm not the only one that does that. All grantors look at that too. They look at all those 990s. Do these people, are they financially stable? Are they going to use this money appropriately? I mean, they have to do their due diligence too, right? So you get that all together, you've got it all, you've got everything set, everything's set. Okay, trouble comes in, you're ready for it because you've got all the right people working for you in order to do that. By the time you come to me, it's usually because there's a CEO or an executive director that's out of whack. Maybe their ego went to, because you know what? I've had to deal with ego leaders over the years. I worked with one. He was insufferable. Quit being ego leaders. It's not about you, for the love of God. It's about your nonprofit that you manage, right? You're entrusted with that management. So put your ego leadership someplace else, because it's insufferable and your organization will suffer. Not can, will. Because there's enough people that are going to go, oy vey, at some point. I've had enough. And that's you know what? That's an expendable amount of money for a business or anybody, that if they don't like the leadership, they're just not going to join. They're not going to give you money. They're not going to be part of. They're going to go over someplace else that wants you to be involved, that wants them. If you don't like people, for the love of God, get out of nonprofit work, and you know who you are. So now the time you get to me and my desk, I don't have the temperament to mess around. If you know me, you already know that. What I do is I dive in, and I want to talk to everybody. And I want to talk to everybody personally. And I want to find out what's going on. I do an e-blast weekly. And I've got about 300 people on this e-blast. And I've been writing more and more because I've been sick with this summer crud crap that's been going around, and coughing and inhaling and all those things that come with it. You know, a lot of us have it. Plus, I think allergies on top of it. So, but I've been writing more and talking and emailing more to people and researching more, because that's what I could do with the breath that I had at the time. And I've been reading more and more about leadership in a nonprofit. Now, as a board of directors, your responsibility is to hire the top paid executive. Now, at 501c3, which is charitable, organizational, even churches are 501c3s, hospitals are 501c3s. you have an executive director. That's just a term, right? It's a best practice term, and it distinguishes between the 501c6, which is a member organization, your chambers of commerce, many fraternal organizations. And that's president and CEO. That's the distinguishable piece. Now, you're always going to get that one person. Well, I want to be president and CEO of this, whatever. I said, well, industry best practice says you're an executive director. Well, I don't like the term. Okay, so you have an ego problem already. I mean, I can tell right away, can't you? If you're involved with the board, you can already tell already. Excuse me. Get them trained. If they come to you with no training, no knowledge, and I don't mean just classroom study, I mean going through an academy like my friends and I put together, a nonprofit academy, or the proper training with them. I do a lot of mentoring where, a board will hire me for 6 months to train them to be an executive director or president CEO. I do weekly Zooms with them. I talk them through it. We talk about scenarios, things that are happening. I give them the if, ands, what, by, whole, all of it. And usually it takes 6 months. Get them trained. That's your responsibility to get them trained. Don't hire somebody in there with no knowledge, no training, no education, nothing, and expect them to do great. You're setting them up to fail, boards. Part of your budget needs to be training, facilitating, development for not only the board, but your employee. Now, if the employee goes out and hires people, maybe an administrative assistant, a marketing person, a bookkeeper, a receptionist, because good God, they're important. If you're growing, you need a good receptionist to answer the phone and know what to do with that call. It's very important. An event coordinator. Did I say membership manager? Because there's some really good ones out there. Membership managers. And that's their employee. You don't employ board anybody other than the president and CEO or executive director. Now, the rest of those people that are working for your organization work for that top paid executive. No, I don't like them going to board meetings unless they're asked to come and do a report. I like things in writing instead of verbal. Why? Because you can review, you can hold in place, you can put it as part of your document retention plan. And it's explicit. People know exactly what's going to happen. Why is that arm up there? When it's going to happen and that sort of thing. But you, as a board, you don't get to tell those other people what to do. That's operational. That's your paid top executive's responsibility. Now, I've seen that work extremely well. I've also seen the CEOs get completely out of hand and fire everybody because they're better than they are. Oh wait, they have more credentials than I do. They're making me look bad. Well, obviously you're doing that to yourself, and the board can say to that president, "What the hell are you doing? This seems wrong. Explain to us why." You have every right to ask that, but ultimately the decision becomes the top paid executives. You have to hire right at the top. You really need to hire correctly at the top. Because if you don't, it can fall apart badly. You can lose some amazing people on the team because you have an ego leader. I've seen it. I've been part of it. No tears shed, just like complete and total disgust, right? You're disgusted, not only with the leader, but the board for allowing it. You're just disgusted. You move on. So what? Things will get better. It always gets better. There's always something better. Good Lord, there's always something better. So as a nonprofit, you've got specific things that you need to do that you're required to do by the state and the IRS. You need to know what those are. You need to be prepared for good times and trouble. because trouble, it's going to come at some point. Be prepared, have the right people in place to reach out to and say, help, I'm in trouble. It's okay. Everybody goes through this. Ask for that assistance. Please quit white knuckling it. You can surround yourself with a team of brilliance if you sit back and realize you don't know everything about it. It's okay. Not everybody does. It's taken me 40 years to get to this point, right? Okay, so I've been pretty good at this for 25 of those 40 anyway. I'm going to give myself a little bit better than that. But I still learn. I learn all the time. I just learned from attorney Mark Lane in Chicago about LC3 organizations. Or L3C, which is it? LC, I don't know. He's brilliant. He wrote the legislation. There's a Zoom on it, by the way, here on YouTube on this channel. You're going to see it. And I don't get involved with those. I send my people right over to Mark because he's the one that does, not me. In fact, I don't even think I can learn all of that at this point because it has so much to do with the tax codes also. And I'm not your tax code person. That would be Mark Lane and his team at Mark Lane Attorneys at Law in Chicago. But it pulls together profit and nonprofit together. And it's a brilliant way to do it if you understand it. Surround yourself with the right people. Hire the right people. Get involved. If you don't want to be on a board of directors, fine. Don't be. Because listen, we have enough people sitting on a board that don't want to be there to begin with. And does it help? No. So, you know what? Woman up, man up. Don't do it. Don't just tell your friend. And by the way, don't put all your friends on the board. Because when something goes wrong, that friend could turn on you. And I've seen that happen too. Board development, extremely important. Doing a board retreat once a year, or as my friend Norma likes to call it, board development day, right? It's great. Do a program of work, plan out the next year, have fun doing it, review what happened last year, be prepared for next year, but do it a couple months before your fiscal year starts, right? You should be ready to go on the first day. Whole new plan, whole new whatever, all new sponsorship levels, everything that they get, any benefits, because if you're a Chamber of Commerce or 501c6, you have to have benefits for your members. And I keep reminding our 501c3s, charitable organizations, that you don't have members. And if you're going to do members, which you should be a C6 then, you have to have benefits for these members, right? They're patrons, donors, sponsors, whatever. They're not members because you have to have benefits, right? Look it up. Don't take my word for it. Look it up. Volunteer whenever you can. Get your family involved. Make it a day. Thanksgiving, instead of feeding your own face during the day, how about helping to feed some people that really need it? How about doing that as a family? Now, we grew up in an area that they didn't have that kind of thing at the time. But we had delivered all the food ahead of time, whether it was through our church or the American Red Cross or even the United Way that we did it with years ago. So there's ways that you can get involved. Please take the time to consider it. Review, look it up. GuideStar.org is a great way to review a nonprofit. Go to the IRS website. They have a list of charities in your community. See how they stand up. See if they're doing a good job. Talk to people. Get your friends involved. So you're in a card club. Great. Your card club. Instead of meeting for cards that month, maybe you volunteer that month as a group. You can order t-shirts from me, by the way, to get it done. Self-promotion. I'm not real good with it. I'm trying my best. But get involved. Because as the government is going to continue their rampage of hurting our nonprofits, we as the community people need to stand up and say, we got this. We're going to help. we're going to get more involved. We're going to put our money not at the national or federal level. We're going to go local. We're going to put our money, our time, our energy, our marketing mouth to other people. Please help them. Please get involved. Oh, there's this going on. Could you give an hour of your time? Hey, it's a children's carnival that we're doing. Can we get you and your family to volunteer to sell tickets one night? That's a lot of fun, right? Doing things like that. Showing your children by getting involved on a local level. We keep the love and the focus alive with our nonprofits. I'm very passionate about nonprofits. I think you know that. I'm very passionate about people that take the time and give of themselves. And I don't mean just money, because not everybody has that additional dollar they can give, but everybody's got an hour. Everybody has time. Make it. You won't forget, and you'll never, ever regret doing it. More on nonprofits. I hope that the rest of my people that I've lined up for recordings don't end up with what I've had. This poor guy today did. So we're going to reschedule him. He's going to be great, but he just wasn't feeling well today. And I understand it because I too am still fighting it. Three and a half weeks. Stay well, stay healthy, get involved, volunteer. Thanks for listening.